Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of 10 Minutes To. This is where we take tips and tricks, things we hope will be useful to you, and we distill them down to a presentation that's 10 minutes or less and hopefully 10 slides or less. So today's topic, let me share my screen with you, is all about dealing with reviews. And so this is about receiving reviews on your work and how to deal with those reviews to the best of your ability and to hopefully help your product get published. So we're talking about reviews. It could include a publication. It could also include a grant or anything like that where you've received reviews from peers, probably in an anonymous feedback kind of way. So one thing I want to acknowledge right up front is reviews are almost always a little painful. And this is due to the nature of academia. Reviews are meant to provide you with hopefully constructive feedback, but things that are meant to be changes to improve the manuscript. This means that they're necessarily often negative in nature because they're changes that they want you to make. And that can feel deeply personal. So I always advise folks to read your reviews, then set them aside. And what do I mean like this? So I equate this to the 7 dealing with your review. The first stage is pretty obvious anger here, but then you're going to go through, or sadness, then you're going to go through anger and a little bit of confusion, maybe anxiety. This is the time you do not want to be rereading those reviews. Wait until you get to this kind of yellow period here and out of the red zone where you can be kind of meh about your reviews. Now it's time to open them up and start reading them. And you should give this maybe 1, maybe 2 weeks, not a lot longer. You don't want it to linger, but do give it a little bit of time. Then you're going to progress along to this, what I call discovery point, where you realize there's actually some useful things in here from these reviewers. And then when you get here to this point, I can't believe I made that mistake, but you're going to fix it. And when you're green here, you're ready to deal with everything, be a team player with your grant to get it in the end. The thing to remember as you're getting towards that green state is that the reviewers actually aren't your enemy, okay? They've invested time and energy in you. And so you want to think about that when you read the comments. They took the time out of their day to provide you with this feedback, and that's something, right? So you want to look at that and say, what were the reviewers looking for? How can I meet those goals and improve my manuscript? How or why did the reviewers misunderstand what I did? How can I better explain what I did to meet the goals of the reviewers then? So that mindset, an appropriate mindset for approaching the changes you need to make in the manuscript. You also want to keep your eye on the prize here. So your goal is to make the editor's life easy here and make it as easy as possible for this editor to speed this paper along to publication. So what can you do in the revision process to make it easy for the editor, to make it obvious the changes you've been made, that you've taken the spirit of the reviewers to heart, and to get that paper along to publication or get that grant funded? And to that I say, help the editor to help you. You want to craft a very careful, very thoughtful reviewer's letter. The first thing I recommend is you want to acknowledge and theory to that. Text how you dealt with those points. What are the changes you made? Give a line number, give a page number, provide a brief recap of what you did if you rewrote a section, or if it's a small change, even paste the change right into the letter. Again, make it easy for the editor to see the work that you've done and how seriously you're taking this. Lastly, there will be times when you feel like you can't make the changes the reviewers suggested. I highly advise you do not argue, do not start a battle. Editors do not want to be in the middle of a battle. Instead, suggest changes you have made that can strengthen your position or better help readers understand why your way is the correct way. And you want to do this fairly carefully. So here's an example, a typical approach. What someone might write in their letter is, reviewer 1 does not understand the analysis and is not correct in the recommendation. Would not advise this approach. A better approach is for you to write something like, we failed to provide sufficient explanation so that everyone could fully understand the need for our approach. And I have added text and citations at line give the location, so that the readers have a clear understanding. So take responsibility for the reviewer's misunderstanding and suggest to the editor how you have clarified this so that other readers will not make the same unfortunate mistake, right? Don't call the reviewer an idiot. Put it on you to do a better job of explaining and making sure that other folks don't misunderstand in the way that reviewer one has misunderstood. Set yourself up for success here too. So I have a list here of things you really want to avoid, and big on this list is guessing who your reviewers are. We all tend to want to do this. It is a losing proposition. You will only start to frustrate yourself and get angry at your peers who may not be responsible for the comments that have upset you. You also should avoid discounting the weight the editor will place on reviewers' opinions. Okay, so again, this is like, don't get in a battle about the reviewers because the editor probably has or may have a fairly long-standing relationship with that reviewer, and you may lose out on this battle. Don't assume your editor has a deep knowledge of your paper or your field. Editors handle a lot of papers, and so you don't want to assume things. You want to be careful in explaining why your approach is correct or why you did the things you did. Careful, courteous, and thorough in here. Again, help the editor make an easy decision. And lastly, don't make the editor feel like an idiot. This happens more often than you'd think. It's not a good strategy for helping the editor get your paper through to publication. So those are my tips and tricks for dealing with reviews and how to handle those. Of course, at any time, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And thanks for joining us for another 10 Minutes Too.